Prince William opening up in a rare and candid conversation about supporting both his wife Catherine and his father King Charles in their cancer journeys.
For the first time since his father's cancer diagnosis, Prince William is back to work and addressing his family's health scares.
5 minutes ago, the palace confirmed what millions across Britain were dreading. King Charles's health has taken a serious turn.
Buckingham Palace has said King Charles spent a short period of time in hospital today after experiencing the temporary side effects of his cancer treatment.
The announcement came directly from Sandringham Estate, the King's private home in Norfolk, where doctors have been working around the clock. The official statement was short, just 9 words. His Majesty's condition is now under intensive observation. With those words, everything stopped. Rain began to fall outside the estate, soft and steady. Reporters gathered behind the black iron gates. You could hear cameras clicking, each flash bouncing off the shiny crest on the gate. This wasn't just another health update. This was the sign that the monarchy was standing at the edge of major change. The sealed letter. People inside Clarence House say the king's private study has been mostly cleared. His personal diary, once filled with meetings and events, now sits open on his desk. The last entry says simply, "The burden continues." Even those who have followed the royal family for decades say the feeling is different this time. It's quieter, more final. Then the whisper started. Senior aides confirmed that before his health worsened, the king had personally signed one final instruction, a sealed document with his wishes if he could no longer do his duties. Only 3 people have seen it. Princess Anne, the Archbishop of Canterbury.
Silly man, the Archbishop of Canterbury is. He has no sense of reality and he's always protesting the most ridiculous things.
And Prince William. Right now, that letter is locked inside Sandringham's private vault. Nobody knows exactly what it says, but one phrase from an insider has shocked the nation. It changes everything. As Britain holds its breath, one question sits heavy. Is this the end of King Charles's reign, or the start of something the late Queen herself saw coming? Stay with us, because by the end of this story, you'll understand what's really happening inside Sandringham and how one father's final choice could reshape the crown forever. The warning signs. Nobody talked about. To understand what's happening now, we need to go back several months, long before today's announcement. It started quietly. The king's schedule began changing. More private time, fewer public appearances. Charles had always worked hard, waking early to read letters, attending meetings all day, walking with his dogs, and reading government papers at night. But earlier this year, his calendar started getting lighter. At first, people thought it made sense. Charles became king at 73, late in life.
Charles ascends to the throne at 73, the longest wait in British history.
He was stepping into a role held by a woman known for her incredible energy. It seemed normal that his reign might look different. But behind closed doors, medical advisors were worried. According to reports from The Guardian, the king had been receiving specialized treatment at Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge, a facility known for advanced cancer care. The palace kept this quiet, calling it routine health maintenance. Few people outside the king's inner circle knew how often he went there. He would fly by helicopter early in the morning to avoid being seen. What looked like peaceful countryside visits were actually medical appointments. Queen Camilla became the person controlling access at home. Her public face was supportive and smiling, but behind that, she was managing palace operations and shielding her husband from pressure. According to the Times, she controlled who could see the king strictly. Nobody saw him unless she approved it, not even William. Prince William quietly started doing more royal work. He led state visits, attended more public events, and held private meetings with the Prime Minister. The most telling sign was his appearance at the Commonwealth Leadership Forum, an event usually attended by the reigning monarch. The palace called it shared responsibility, but insiders knew better. William wasn't just filling in, he was stepping up. The most important person working quietly was Princess Anne. Known for being private and loyal, She became the bridge between past and present. According to BBC reports, Anne visited the late Queen Elizabeth's private archive at Windsor and retrieved a letter believed written shortly before the Queen's death.
Buckingham Palace announced the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
The letter's contents remain private, but one line reportedly said, "If duty ever outweighs health, let clarity protect the crown." Anne gave it to Charles in early September. Someone close to them said he read it twice, put it down, and whispered, "She always knew." From that moment, palace staff noticed changes. Charles became quieter, more thoughtful. His desk was cleared. He took fewer calls and spent more time looking out the tall windows of Sandringham's north wing, the same room where Queen Elizabeth had once worked during her early reign. It was around this time that whispers about the sealed instructions started. A document written by Charles himself, handwritten not typed, explaining his wishes if he became too sick to continue. Sources told the Telegraph it was placed in a special box and stored in the vault beneath Sandringham Chapel. Only 3 people know what it says, and all 3 are now in the same room. The pieces are in place. The crown hasn't officially changed hands, but something has shifted. The king's voice has grown quiet, but his decisions speak louder than ever. The first real sign something was seriously wrong came during a charity reception in early September. King Charles stumbled slightly while greeting an ambassador from Ghana. His face looked tired and drawn. His voice was softer than usual. Royal commentators said it was fatigue, but aides nearby knew the truth. The king hadn't slept in 3 days. A week later, palace vehicles arrived at Sandringham unusually late at night. Among them was a medical van with no markings, followed by the royal physician's car. The press got the same answer. The king is resting, but inside the estate, nobody was resting. Princess Anne finally broke the silence, not to the press, but to her brother. She found Charles sitting alone, Queen Elizabeth's letter in his lap. She said simply, "You can't outrun the truth." Charles looked up and replied, "It's not the truth I fear. It's what it leaves behind." That's when Anne realized he wasn't fighting the inevitable. He was trying to protect the family from it. By the second week of October, the king had missed 4 engagements in a row. Prince William, now at Sandringham daily, quietly took over. The public noticed. Journalists started calling him the acting sovereign. Catherine took on ceremonial duties gracefully, but people noticed tension in her posture, the kind that comes when preparing for unwanted change. Then came the call. At 3:24 in the morning, William's secure phone rang. A senior advisor said 7 words that changed everything. His Majesty has lost full cognitive clarity. It wasn't death, but it was close.
There are new bombshell claims today from royal insiders who say King Charles's cancer is incurable and he will likely die with the disease.
In confusion from medication and exhaustion, the king reportedly looked at Anne and asked, "Is my mother still waiting for her coronation?" The confusion was heartbreaking, but the meaning was clear. A monarch who couldn't tell past from present couldn't rule. The palace moved fast. Medical records were reviewed, lawyers came in. The sealed letter Charles had written months ago was finally opened. Inside was a single page. In the event of cognitive failure, transfer interim authority to the Prince of Wales with full advisory rights to Princess Anne. It wasn't abdication. It was something new. A monarch choosing to step aside not because of death, but because of duty. By sunrise, transition steps were happening. Sandringham was locked down. A helicopter went to Windsor, and Camilla left. An aide said she quietly departed during the night, boarding a private plane to Florence. Her press secretary said she needed to gather herself. But the truth was, she had fought this moment for weeks, not because she didn't love Charles, but because she believed stepping back meant giving up. People across Britain woke to the Telegraph's front page. The crown pauses. Prince William assumes interim powers. No coronation, no trumpets. But for many, It felt like history moving forward. And you, if you were William, would you have opened that letter? Would you have taken on this burden? Let us know in the comments and tell us where you're watching from. Like this video if you believe duty sometimes means sacrifice, and subscribe for updates on this royal transition reshaping the crown's future. The crown that waits. While the public tried to understand the headline, Prince William assumes interim powers, something more delicate happened behind closed doors. The palace activated procedures only used in the most serious situations. A living monarch unable to rule, but not gone. The word whispered in hallways wasn't abdication. It was soft succession. Inside Sandringham's north wing, everything shifted. Prince William, once the patient heir, was now in charge of daily crown operations, but he didn't announce it loudly. He moved carefully, wearing the same navy suit day after day, ties slightly loose, eyes tired. One aide described him as not grabbing power, but receiving weight. Princess Anne became his closest advisor. Together they formed what people now call the dual regency. Not official, but clear in action. Anne handled protocol details, working with the Privy Council and Church of England. William focused on keeping the public calm. Catherine stepped into an important role as Britain's quiet comfort, visiting hospitals and charities, reminding many of Elizabeth II during wartime. Behind palace gates, tensions grew. Queen Camilla's departure left more than an empty chair. According to the Times, she had demanded the letter not be opened, believing Charles would recover. When that line was crossed, she left. Her communications team went silent. Even her longtime lady-in-waiting quietly resigned. Some believe Camilla had planned to serve as interim guardian herself, an idea reportedly rejected by Anne and Charles weeks earlier. Then came another letter, not from Charles but from Queen Elizabeth II, kept sealed in the royal archives at Windsor. It was only to be opened if her son became unable to lead but was still alive. Written in her final year, it said, "If continuity should fail, let grace lead." The crown is not kept by holding on, but by knowing when to hand over. The Queen's clear handwriting appeared on every major front page within hours. The public, though heartbroken, began accepting that history was unfolding through careful planning, not tragedy. Around the world, reactions poured in. The White House released a statement of respect. The Pope sent blessings. In Commonwealth countries like Canada and Australia, debates started about constitutional independence. Understanding a new chapter was being written. Back in the UK, Parliament held a rare Sunday session to discuss constitutional plans during royal medical suspension. Though mostly symbolic, it showed government institutions were officially working with the Prince of Wales. Still, some establishment figures worried. Old guard staff who worked under Queen Elizabeth feared the speed of change. One person told The Times anonymously, "This isn't how we used to do things. We prepared for a sovereign's death, not their decline." But the British public responded with understanding. In a YouGov poll, over 71% agreed William taking interim authority was right and respectful. Inside Sandringham, Charles stayed under care. His clarity came and went, but aides say he kept asking how the public was responding. In a clear moment, he reportedly whispered to his physician, "Are they angry?" The doctor replied, "No, Your Majesty, they're proud." One detail emerged quietly. The imperial state crown had been moved from the Tower of London to Windsor, officially for cleaning. Unofficially, the symbolism was clear. The crown wasn't on display. It wasn't on a king's head. It was waiting, like the nation. As sun set over Sandringham's lawns, Anne and William stood in the drawing room side by side. No words exchanged, just a long look between siblings who had lived through legacy, loss, and now the hardest decision. They weren't just preparing for the future. They were living it. When the world started watching. For all the quiet dignity inside the palace, the outside world was louder. When the Times published Soft Succession, the story exploded. Morning shows changed schedules. Special reports aired on BBC, ITV, and CNN. One headline screamed, "The king still lives, but who rules?" Outside Buckingham Palace, serious crowds held handmade signs. "We stand with William and long live the king and the future king." But not everyone supported it. A vocal minority accused the palace of a quiet takeover. Online forums claimed Charles was being pushed aside too early for political reasons. Then Queen Camilla's voice returned. Surprisingly, she released a video message from a chateau in France. In the clip aired exclusively on Sky News, she said, "My husband remains the king. He has not given up the throne. The world should not rush to rewrite what still stands." Her tone was calm but sharp. She never said William or Anne's names, but it was clear who she meant. The 97-second clip broke the internet. Within an hour, Queen Camilla Speaks and Not My Regency trended on social media. At Sandringham, the mood turned tense. William reportedly watched in silence. One aide said he was shaken but calm. Catherine was angry. Anne simply said, "So be it." Nobody expected Camilla to publicly challenge what was happening. Before decisions were made, something else happened. The Archbishop of Canterbury arrived at Sandringham without warning. In a private meeting with Charles, William, and Anne, he reportedly read parts of Queen Elizabeth's letter aloud again, reminding them the crown's strength is in restraint. Afterward, he stood with William before media and said simply, "The king has trusted his son. Let us not question the love that binds them." That powerful message changed public opinion again. Commentators praised the careful transition. Polls swung firmly back to William. Still, division was real. Some aristocracy members felt left out. Lady Rosamond Devo told The Telegraph, "We were not raised to see our monarchs fade away. We were raised to bury them with crowns intact." But younger generations saw progress. On TikTok, thousands shared videos celebrating the monarchy's ability to modernize with dignity. Many reposted an old clip of young William telling his mother Diana, "I don't want to be king." The caption now read, "He didn't want to, but he rose anyway." Inside Sandringham, public noise seeped through walls. Anne stayed close to Charles, who had a clear hour that evening. He asked to speak to William privately. No staff present, no recording made. Afterward, William walked the estate alone, shoulders heavy. When asked if he was okay, he replied, "It's his legacy. I just hope I'm worthy of carrying it." Later, Charles asked for one final thing. He wanted the imperial state crown brought to Sandringham, but not worn. He wanted it placed in the chapel under the stained glass window that once covered Queen Elizabeth in morning light. A symbolic act, one last gesture of respect for the institution he served and now gently released. While the nation argued, while sides formed, while Camilla defended and Anne supported, Charles made peace. He wasn't giving up power, he was giving continuity. And in doing so, he passed on something more lasting than a crown: clarity. By next morning, the monarchy had entered new territory. Not through death, but through a rare act of a living monarch stepping aside in acceptance. A dignified transition without coronation or funeral. A moment hanging between endings and beginnings. The British press chose a surprisingly respectful tone. The Guardian called it a quiet revolution in succession. The Times ran a story titled, "The Regency We Were Never Told About." Even the Sun stayed calm, its front page reading, "He's still our king." At the center stood Prince William, not yet king, but no longer just heir. His first address as acting sovereign was short, filmed inside Sandringham's study with Catherine sitting quietly nearby. His tone steady, his words careful. "My father remains our sovereign, our strength, and our moral guide. I act not instead of his will, but because of it." He thanked the public and medical team, then he spoke as son. "For every son who watches a father grow old before his time, I stand with you. For every family walking through grief between hope and goodbye, we walk together. The message hit deep. Social media filled with support from around the world. Commonwealth leaders spoke in solidarity. Prime ministers of Canada, Australia, and New Zealand released statements respecting both Charles and William. Church leaders, teachers, and youth groups praised the monarchy's example of humility and planning. Queen Camilla stayed silent after her video. Her press team refused interviews. A source said she was in deep thought at Ray Mill House, her private home in Wiltshire, with close friends. Princess Anne kept carrying out state duties with precision and heart. She refused public comment, but her actions spoke clearly, meeting clergy, reviewing protocol, ensuring responsibilities passed smoothly to William. King Charles's health stayed fragile but stable. He no longer signed papers or attended briefings, but he did one thing daily: read letters from citizens, school children, veterans, those thanking him not for being king, but for showing how to leave the throne with grace. One moving letter from a 12-year-old in Manchester said, "Dear King Charles, I know you're tired. Thank you for showing that even kings can be human. That makes you stronger to me." As the sun set over Sandringham, the crown rested behind glass, unclaimed, untouched. Not a symbol of loss, but of respect. William hadn't taken the throne, only the weight of it, showing that true leadership isn't about grasping power, but carrying it with grace. This quiet moment became Charles's final lesson, that dignity needs no force, and legacy is measured not by how long we lead, but how wisely we let go. In an age of noise and ambition, he stepped aside with calm courage, reminding Britain that strength can also mean surrender. Now, as the nation exhales, the crown waits, not on a head, but in a son's hands. What does this moment mean for the monarchy's future? A turning point, a model for modern leadership, or the calm before a new reign? Share your thoughts below and stay with us as we follow the next chapter in this unfolding royal story. Because history isn't only crowned, sometimes it's quietly passed on.